Good afternoon, lovely peoples. This is an unusual afternoon stream for me. This is also an unusual all-day stream for me. Because this is going to be a speedrun, it is going to be a long speedrun. This is Final Fantasy I for the MSX computer. As far as I can tell, there has been no recorded speedrun of this version, so any time I get, no matter how terrible, will be by definition the current world record, so that's slightly exciting, I suppose, if one is into that kind of thing. A couple things I do want to say about this version. The game was released on floppy disks, not a cartridge, so playing it on those floppy disks, you would have had pretty terrible load times all over the place. I am using a flash cartridge, basically, the Carnivore 2 cartridge for the MSX, which in this case contains a disk emulator that allows me to run it off of a flash drive inside the cartridge, so that should dramatically improve the load times in my case. What that means for the long-term validity of the speedrun, who knows, but I am not going to sit here waiting 10 seconds every time a battle starts. If someone were to run this game off of the original discs, one thing that's not immediately clear, the original package for the game contained two discs, a game disc and a user disc. You do not actually need the user disc to play this game. I have seen auction listings that just included the game disc. They are very expensive, but they do exist, so if one wanted to run this off the original disc, you could. You don't actually need the original user disc, you can make your own. You do that by, on this screen with the opening crawl, hitting the select button on your MSX keyboard. That takes you into this little utility. Basically all this is saying is press escape to get out of here, but for now, what disk drive do you want to create a user disk on? In my case, I'm not going to try to go through the process. It was not behaving well with the virtual drive provided by the Carnivore 2 flash card and its utilities earlier today, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hit escape here. But I believe all you do is you press the drive letter, you tell it whether it's a single-sided or double-sided disk. I think it's usually double-sided on modern disks, and it just makes the disk for you. So that is what you do if you get a hold of a game disk but not a user disk. Anyway, irrelevant to what I'm doing right now. I'm just going to hit escape to go back to the title here. Note that unlike the NES or the Famicom version, you cannot skip past that. You have to wait for it to finish writing, but it does write quite a bit faster than the Famicom version too, so it doesn't matter that much. I am using the same party that the NES speedrun uses. We will call the first fighter Thai Ichi, Fighter 1. Thai Ni, Fighter 2. Meiji Ichi, and Meiji Ni, creative names. And we shall begin! You will notice that the movement is pretty slow and jerky in this version. The MSX, even the MSX2 upgrade, was not as good at scrolling as the Famicom was. But as with the Famicom, we begin by buying rapiers for everyone, and chain shirts for everyone. Equip those immediately. Note that I have to use the keyboard to go to the menus in this game, because the MSX controller only has two buttons, A and B. But walking on the world map is particularly slow. Varies quite a bit, though, depending on what's on the screen in ways that I'm not entirely sure of. A mature speedrun of this game would probably choose routes to manipulate the fastest walking speed possible, but on the Famicom games, the RNG is pretty easy to manipulate for encounter routes, so usually they follow particular routes from boot and get consistent encounter patterns that way. You cannot, as far as I know, do that on the MSX. The RNG for the MSX is quite a bit more robust and probably based on an internal system clock or something. So as far as I can tell, you cannot manipulate this based on step routing. So I pretty much need to take whatever encounter I get with the goal of getting 8 experience points before I get to the Garland fight. Notice the lovely blue color scheme for the Temple of Fiends, or Temple of Chaos in this version. Another difference here is that on the NES version, if you just want everyone to fight, you can just hold A, and it will do that at the maximum possible speeds. On this version, you do actually have to mash A to get through the combat menus. You can't actually hold it, it won't register that way. That should give us our level 2 for everyone. The MSX controller I'm using, which is barely visible there, is a pretty common one for the later model MSXs by Panasonic, but... Bats, really? Is this how we're starting the game? Thank you. But it does actually have a little slider on it for turbo, but... because turbo is usually disallowed for this game, I am not using it. I'm not too sure whether this is necessary or not, but I am going to go ahead and buy Cure for both of the mages here, or Chaota. I may regret that later, because that's a lot of money that I'll probably need in Provoca later, but... just in case I get bad fights on the way to Provoca, it's probably good to have some ability to cure myself. So here you do need to switch to the user disc. On the Carnivore 2 and the Sofa Run disc emulator, whatever, you do that by holding Control and the number of the disc in the set that you have it configured with. So that's quite a bit faster and easier than actually physically swapping the discs. But now, unlike the Famicom version, you can actually just hold the A button through the bridge screen here. You don't have to alternate mashing A and B or anything like that. So on the way to Provoca, I want to aim to get another 66 experience points, which I should have gotten a pretty good start on from that big Goblin Captain fight on the way to the temple. That should give me enough to hit level 3 on the pirate fight. This could be interesting. Flash warning, by the way. Okay, we already hit 3. Those ogre fights, if you can get them, are quite valuable. It's because I can. I'm going to go down and pick up the leather shields in the armor shop down here before I fight the pirates. So the pirates are not much of a boss fight. They just take forever to take their actions. I got some pretty good encounter luck on the way here. So that means I can go immediately to the weapon shop over here and buy a weapon upgrade for one of the fighters. The broadsword for 550. That goes to the second fighter. Usually, the way this is strategized, I think, is that the first fighter focuses on tanking, the second fighter focuses on stabbing, because of the way that attack probability is distributed. So that means that weapon upgrades go first to the second fighter. My next goal is that I want both mages to have the Blizzard spell, which costs 400 gold for each of them. And I also want to get everyone up to level 6. Now, in Famicom, you do that by manipulating your step route around Provoca to get ogre fights, a bunch of ogre fights. Because ogres are basically the most valuable encounter you can find at this point in the game. They are pretty uncommon based on raw RNG, though. And a lot of the other fights in the Provoca area and the Elfland area are things like spiders or snakes that are poisonous and not very valuable. So as far as I can tell, based on mathing out the encounter table, I believe that the most effective way to do the grinding when you aren't able to manipulate RNG is to do it on the ship. The average experience and gold per encounter at sea is going to be a little bit better than what you get in either the Provoca areas or the Elfland areas. I think. It is still entirely possible I'm wrong on that, though, especially if I keep getting these annoying Sahagin fights where everyone misses. Now, I think on the Famicom version and other later versions of this game, there is actually a lower encounter rate on the ocean than there is on land. I don't believe that to be true in the MSX version. Some impressive thighs on those pirate sprites, by the way. Really stand out with the MSX color scheme. The MSX2 was a little bit better at handling color than the Famicom was, I believe. I don't think it had quite the same limitations on the use of palettes. So a lot of the graphics, including the character sprites and enemy sprites in this game, are a little bit more colorful than the Famicom equivalents are. With the MSX random number generator for encounters, sometimes that'll happen where you'll take one step and get right into another encounter over and over. Sometimes you will walk literally all the way from Elfland to the Marsh Cave and not get a single encounter, so I believe the way the Famicom does it results in a much more even spread of encounters, as far as I can tell. It's level 4. Also, unlike the Famicom version, I do have to mash to get through the level up text. Can't just hold A for that either. So, I fully expect that we have plenty of gold at this point to do the remainder of our shopping in Provoca. 800, which we definitely have, and getting Brizado for each of the mages. I need to buy items, but since I'm going to be at sea, I am probably going to do that in Conaria. So something that seems to happen with the way the world map is rendered is that once you get into relatively open sea without a whole lot of land nearby, you are able to move faster. So I'm going to try to stay away from land at this point, now that I no longer need to stay in the Provoca area. Kind of see it happening there. As soon as I get away from the land, the ship's speed suddenly doubles. Something else that seems to happen with movement is that when you change direction, there's a little bit of a hesitation. So walking in straight lines is probably a little bit more optimal than walking in jaggies. Since I'm at 5 now, the next time I stay at an inn is probably going to be when I hit 6, and it's going to be in Elfland. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stop in Conaria right now and do some shopping. 6 potions and antidotes. I think I put down 5 sleeping bags. Yes. This speedrun powered by Soylent. There's the level. So in Elfland, we are going to hope that we have at least 3,100 gold. So we want to come in here and buy Thyra for both mages. That is actually a deviation from the Famicom route. I believe the Famicom route would normally buy Thundara there. We are now going to head for the Marsh Cave finally and hope we get good encounter RNG on the way. At least we get to enjoy this mix of the music, though. If the encounters take it easy, we might actually get to hear the whole track for once. Like I said, sometimes the RNG is such that you walk all the way from Elfland to the Marsh Cave with no encounters. And it looks like today may well be one of those days. So, like the Famicom version, being poisoned moves your poisoned party member to the back of the party. Unlike the Famicom version, it doesn't just swap them. It actually pushes everyone else up in the same order, so it takes a little bit more effort to reorganize them to the proper order after you fix the poisoning. Now, I am going to come in here and pick up this second broadsword for my first fighter. That is a copper bracelet that I'm not actually going to be using, but it is okay to sell. It's supposed to be up 1 row for this room, I think. It's iron armor that goes to Fighter 1. That is a cottage. Now, important information about this version. Max Piscodemon encounter, of course. On the Famicom version, the Piscodemons are strong against fire and cold, I believe, but they are not strong against lightning, so you want to use lightning on them. In the MSX version, however, I am doing massive damage with Fyra on them. Yay, we got the crown. Now we just need to get out. But that is because of probably the key piece of information about the MSX version that is different from the Famicom version. As far as I can tell, and I've seen this confirmed in at least one other source, enemy data has elemental resistances and elemental weaknesses. There are 8 elements, including the 3 damage elements plus a bunch of status elements. In the MSX version, it seems as though the weaknesses information in the enemy data is ignored, and the resistances data is instead used as a weakness data. Therefore, because the Piscodemons are supposed to be strong against fire or cold, they are actually treated as weak to fire or cold in the MSX version. Hence why I chose to buy Fyra instead of Thundara in Elfland. Because in the Famicom version, Thundara is pretty good against the Piscodemons. In the MSX version, Fyra absolutely destroys them. We will see that throughout this run. Because things that are supposed to be highly resistant to magic are actually weak to a lot of magic, that means that magic is far more effective, especially in the late game in this version, than it would be in the Famicom version. Similarly, because in the Famicom version there is a bug with critical hit chance that makes characters in the late game especially far more likely to get critical hits than they're supposed to be. That makes physical damage disproportionately effective in the Famicom version. As far as I can tell, that bug does not exist on the MSX version. You cannot rely on critical hit damage. Meaning that using physical damage is a lot less... I was supposed to split there? Whatever. That is going to be the reason for most of my choices in combat strategy in this run. We are not going to be basically ignoring magic and using haste on our fighters in every fight in the late game. We are actually going to be trying to use magic for the maximal effectiveness. And it is very likely that one of us is going to die immediately in this fight. I'm probably not going to reset to avoid it. Or we could get very lucky and he does an attack for his first action. I forgot that I have to go get the Crystal Eye first. Regardless, I do want to stop in Elfland. Grab Cura for both of my mages. So, whoever does this run next, there you go, free time save. If you are curious what the brooms say in this version, it is still push B select. The controller has a B button on it, and the MSX keyboard has a select button on it. Move, please. So, on the world map, you can press that select key plus the B button, and that will bring up your world map. And the world map view actually does render quite a bit faster in this version than it does on the Famicom version, for what that's worth. Not that I would imagine there is any reason in a speed setting that you'd ever want to look at the world map, but just in case, it's there. I'll probably get lost and need to use it eventually. I believe that encounter is the one that was actually removed from the NES release because the NES doesn't handle palettes in that encounter correctly for some reason. Now we can actually go to the castle and wake up the prince. Much better. That wasn't supposed to happen. hammer we just sell. These two, I think, are just extra gold. I believe that bronze gauntlet we eventually put on our fighter. No particular hurry to menu for it, though. Mithril knife is just for sale. Saber we sell as well, I believe. Whatever that thing is called, the Buddhist iron rod. That's the nitro powder. Need that. Iron shield. And another iron armor. There it is. What brilliant Conarian civil engineer had the idea that let's build a dock for ships way up there in the middle of nowhere? That opens the canal that we need to progress with the plot finally. I will be splitting once I save in Melmond, though. That's a tent. It's a big helmet. We'll eventually go to the fighters. That is the Worm Killer. I will be choosing to sell that. That's another mithril knife that I will be selling. That's a regular helmet that will be going to the second fighter. That is the mithril mail, which I will put on one of the wizards. That's another cottage. The fact that ocean travel is so slow and has such a high encounter rate relative to other versions is one of the more painful things about the MSX version. My shopping list reminds me that I am supposed to buy a bunch more supplies in Conaria, though, before I go to Melmond. I need to go back through these encounters. Lots of free time save. 15 antidotes. A few more of those. Buy a billion potions. I'm going to be leaving myself with about 1600 gold, because that is what I would normally have gotten out of the Dwarf Cave after spending all my gold here. Okay, now can we go to Melmond? Okay, so Fighter 1 has a rapier to sell. We will be selling this mithril hammer, this mithril knife. We will not be selling the broadsword. Fighter 2 similarly has a rapier, a saber, and a shakujo, which, as mentioned, is a type of Buddhist ceremonial rod used by monks. We don't have any monks. Most importantly, we will be selling the Worm Killer, which gives us a lot of money. Sell the second mage's rapier too. With the money we get from the Worm Killer, we buy 2 longswords. Shuffle the broadswords down to the mages. We also have some junk to sell at the armor shop. Second fighter still has a chain shirt they're not using. So we've got an extra chain shirt on that mage. Got that old other thing, and we've also got that copper bracelet that we're not using. Finally, we are going to stay at the inn in Melmond and hit the split. Okay, I am actually going to take a very quick break and be right back, and then we will proceed into the Earth Cave. Okay, I return. Let us proceed. No idea how much time I lost taking a break, but whatever. Okay, let's see how this goes. I would like to continue gaining a couple of levels through this segment, if possible. So the Worm Killer, the sword that I picked up and sold earlier, it has roughly the same stats as the long swords that I bought. It's slightly less powerful, but has a slightly better hit chance, I think. We are getting another sword in this cave, the Coral Sword, that is almost identical, except where the Worm Killer supposedly does extra damage to Dragon-type enemies, the Coral Sword does extra damage to Aquatic-type enemies. Neither of those works properly in the Famicom version. I think they probably work right in the MSX version, but I'm not absolutely sure. So it would not be the worst idea to not buy those long swords and instead just pick up those two special swords. That, please. Unlike the Famicom version, you can't really push things out of your way. This is the Coral Sword, right? No? There it is, Sanga no Tsurugi, the Coral Sword. It would not be the worst idea to just use those two special swords and not bother buying the long swords, because they're pretty close to the same effectiveness, and you might get some extra benefit from the enemy-type exploitation, assuming that works. But because those two swords sell for so much money, long swords cost 1,500 each, you get 4,000 from selling either of the special swords. So you can just sell one of them, buy your two long swords, and have a pretty good amount left over. Kind of feels like having that extra money from selling them is going to help out on money later. Okay, now the fun begins. Let's see if we can survive this floor. Hello, Bat. We're going to be here for a while. Thank you. Okay, these bats down here are the worst, but it seems like they are being good and staying out of this narrow corridor at this time. Now, I believe in my notes I have it written that we actually use Blizzard on the vampire because the bug does actually seem to result in the vampire being weak to ice, as seen there. Yay, we get the Star Ruby. In either case, I think it's a good idea to save my... Oh dear. Well. Okay. First reset. Hey, let us try this again. Go it, please. Thank you. That was very close to being bad. I believe if I lose a character in this trip, it is pretty much a reset. Because getting anywhere where I could feasibly resurrect a dead character or buy a soft potion to unstone them would be a massive detour. Okay, that's preemptive. We are fine with that. Okay, can we get to the vampire, please? Thank you. I wonder why he's yellow on the map, assuming the vampire uses male pronouns, as he's obvious, or they are obviously not yellow in combat here. Maybe they just turn blue because of all the blizzards I cast on them. Okay, thank RNGesus, that was another preemptive. Because those things, unlike the vampire, are actually dangerous. I think we are actually safe splitting up our attack here. They don't have that much HP. Hopefully, if all goes well, that will make the combat go faster, but perhaps I am wrong. Thank you. Thank you. Oh dear. I think I need to reset. By the way, as the game boots, make sure you hold the control key. That tells the MSX hardware, I think, not to load a driver for a second disk drive, if you had one. And the game requires the extra memory you get by not loading that second disk driver. I would normally expect to get a level somewhere during this segment. I fought quite a few high XP encounters on the 3rd floor in that run and still never saw it, so I don't know how far off that is. See you heading there, Bat. Not this time. They're colluding. I will take all the undead you want to give me over cockatrices. Dangerous encounter is these bats. Yes, please, stay all packed up there. I know they're back there in that corner conspiring against me, but we will not worry about that for now. Wow, the vampire actually got a real attack off that time before being destroyed by Blizzard. And there's that level I've been hoping for. If we can keep it. Hopefully it will not happen a 3rd time. But perhaps it will. Kill it with fire quickly. Thank you. I don't have much HP, so this should work okay. Okay, Bat. I can wait here just as long as you can. Make it. You're not. Okay, that's not too bad. We can deal with this. Okay, we should be safe now. Okay, we made it out. Save, please. And finally split. That split? There it is. I didn't mention this earlier, but do note that the dungeon music has been swapped around quite a bit in the MSX game. We are hearing the Temple of Fiends music in this cave, for example. The main reason being that, as far as I can tell, the first dungeon music that you normally hear in the Marsh Cave has been completely removed from the game. That track does exist in the game data, apparently. There are dumps of the soundtrack on like KH Insider and on YouTube where you can hear it. But they chose not to use it for any actual dungeons. And and shuffled around all the music to accommodate that. I suspect they just decided last minute that the version of that track that was made for the MSX sound hardware just didn't sound very good, and they decided to just avoid using it. But if you are noticing dungeons using strange music, that is why. Okay, we made it. Let's get our spell charges back now with that cottage we got somewhere. Since I'm pretty good on resources so far, I'm going to go up here and grab the money in this room. It's guarded by an earth elemental, which, because of the MSX weakness bug, should be weak against cold. I think you can get that chest from the side and avoid that fight. Yay, the bats conspiracy failed. What I have seen happen all too many times is one of those bats gets way down here at the end of this narrow corridor, and it is very difficult for the random movement to get it out of there. Okay, we need to use the Earth Cane here. Let us see what horrors await us on the lower levels. One difference with the Famicom version that is mildly disappointing is that the bats on the lower floors of the Earth Cave use the same blue palette that the ones on the upper floors do. On the Famicom version, these bats are bright red, which kind of adds to the atmosphere of going really deep into a dangerous place underground. That fifth floor is pretty straightforward, but still dangerous. So for Lich, I have it in my notes that Fyrus seemed to work a little better than Blizzard on it. I'm not entirely sure why that would be. I would expect it to be weak against cold based on the MSX weakness bug. But it might just be that the higher natural damage of Fyra outweighs that. Lich is almost definitely going to open with Blizzara, which is going to do a lot of damage to everyone, and I don't think we have enough HP to reliably survive it, so this could start out pretty bad, but we shall see how it goes. Okay, everyone survived, barely. Hopefully we will get enough damage. Next couple of rounds, we won't need to worry about the next thing it does. That was slow or something, or maybe sleep. Well, we have no more fire left, so let's see how effective Blizzard actually is. Looks about the same, really. And we do get a level for everyone out of that, which is nice. Just in case, I am going to be healing up now. I think there is still a chance I could hit a terrible encounter in the couple of steps up to the teleport. Yep. That is a lot less terrible than it could be. I am glad I did not hit that encounter with anyone at 2 hit points. Or 10, wherever we were. But we have now lit the first of the 4 crystals. Hooray! Save! Unlike the last trip, that was a pretty good split. didn't note it earlier, but I like how the coloring on these ogres make them look much more like they have kind of natural humanoid skin tone. They're not bright red the way they are in the Famicom graphics. I guess there's really no good reason to stay at the inn in Melmond here. Just heading straight to Crescent Lake. Okay, I will drop another sleeping bag here. Simply because there are some kind of dangerous encounters on the way to Crescent Lake. Notice that the towns have slightly different colors to them. Melmond was blue, Crescent Lake is pink. So, I have shopping to do in Crescent Lake here. My notes have 15 potions. Actually going to go further than that to 25. I feel like I used quite a few in the Earth Cave. And I want 5 tents, I think. Now for armor. My notes have that everything that's not body armor we sell off, as we're going to replace it immediately. I believe we sell the mage's armor too. Not totally sure on that though, so I'll wait before I sell the expensive one. Because I am going to be buying Mithril Shield, Helmet, and Gauntlet for fighters. I think that was all of the items. I was not supposed to sell that chain shirt on the second mage, so that could be bad. But our main goal here is we want to talk to this person and get the canoe. Now I want to stay at an inn and get my spell charges back. At this point, as soon as these Sahagin let me, we are going straight to the Castle of Ordeals, where we are definitely not supposed to be, but do our best anyway. Am I even in the right place? I'm actually going to have to use my map. Okay, I'm still way over there. It is probably the least well-known version of the game, other than maybe the WonderSwan version. And as far as I can tell, no one has tried to record a speedrun of it. Thus, I volunteer as sacrifice. Come on, can we just get to the ordeal, please? The ordeal is supposed to be inside the castle, not outside of it. So far, Ordeals is being disturbingly kind to me, though. Okay, there's going to be a nightmare encounter here. We are better off running away from it, I believe. We got preemptive on it, too. Nice. This should be our healing staff. We can take that little nook there to avoid the second nightmare fight. That's a steel gauntlet. That's the ice brand. That's the ruby gauntlet. Check my notes real quick to find out what we do with those. Ruby bracelet, sorry. Okay, my notes don't even have us getting the steel gauntlet. I think it is worse than the mithril gauntlets we just bought, so... Ice brand goes to second fighter. Old longsword goes to first red mage, I suppose. I don't want to say anything too happy yet, but the encounter RNG has been pretty good so far. That is why I didn't want to say anything yet. Okay, let's burn a bunch of potions. At least we got away. And there's the gauntlet. That goes to second red mage, I believe. Okay. What do I have in my notes for the zombie dragon here? Actually didn't say anything. I think we want to use Blizzard on it. As I've noted before, MSX has a bug where basically elemental resistances are treated as weaknesses, weaknesses are ignored. So in this case, the zombie dragon is actually vulnerable to cold. And there is our rat tail. Okay, good ordeals. Let us save. Chaos is weak to everything, yes. Including, in principle, all the instant death elements. So it would absolutely be a viable strategy, I think, to just load up on instant death abilities, in particular the Cloud Spell and the Raise Saber, and just spam those against Chaos as much as you can. I think, though, that Chaos still has such a high magic resistance that it would be hard to get guaranteed that you'd get good enough RNG to get any of those through. So I don't think it's necessarily more reliable using that strategy than just using massive damage against it. Okay, where's Elfland? What's on my shopping list for Elfland here? I've got a couple of old broadswords I want to sell. I then go to the item shop and buy gold needles. Some lovely purple robes on these elves. Did I route to buy 4 of them? Then I want haste and Blizzara for both mages. And I'm going straight to the ice cave, so I want to do an in-stay now. Okay. See how the ice cave treats us. Well, there's one soft potion used. But I would fully expect even a perfect run of this game to be around 6 hours, probably. For my purposes, I'm hoping I can get it in 8 or so, but I think we run. That's the flame sword. I still have that coral sword that I didn't get around to selling. I believe I want to get this big pile of money over here. Skip the one in the far corner. Menu, please. Thank you. Ice shield goes to the tank. Okay, let's see how this goes. I think we're okay on HP. HP is not really the danger in this fight anyway. What do I have that I use against the Beholder here? Okay. Best spell I can. Would be Blizzara, but I have no spell charges for it, which is interesting. Let's try Blizzard. Actually, let me check its weaknesses. Okay, it normally doesn't have any resistances or any weaknesses, so I just want to use the strongest spell I can, which in this case is going to be Fyra. Okay, we got it. Did not even get an attack off. So that went well. We got the floating stone. How can we get out of here without any disasters? There's that level that probably would have gotten us that level 4 spell slot. I don't know what exactly the MSX is doing to make scrolling work, but it seems like it is much slower the more complex the terrain of the room is. So it seems like that bottom floor of the ice cave is particularly slow. But we survived! Hooray! Okay, I am actually going to take a quick break. I will be right back. Okay, here we go. That was a pretty good ice cave. This whole area north of Crescent Lake with all the mountains and rivers is another spot that is pretty bad for movement lag. I can never remember the most efficient route to get to the islands from here. I think we actually want to go around the world to the east here and then go south from somewhere in the area of the Marsh Cave or something like that. Oh wait, no, we need the airship first. That's where I'm going. Derp derp. And surely, now that we have the airship, getting around on the world map will be much faster. Spoiler alert, it's not. As with the ship, the least movement lag seems to happen when I am over featureless open waters, so... Yay, class change. That nice reload of the graphics to reflect the new sprites. I do want to temporarily actually equip that gauntlet on this mage. My notes have us going to Elfland first to buy Cura for the knights. I hope they can use it. Cure for the knights. We then want Blink for everyone, because of reasons. I'm not absolutely certain that I'll be using Blink for its intended purpose, but I'll have it on hand anyway, just in case I decide to do so. Not sure when I'm supposed to do that, but I'll go ahead and sell that Coral Sword. And I will buy 1 billion potions now. So I hope everyone is enjoying this intense classic gameplay. So now we do the volcano. I think that's where we exit. We do enter the volcano from the top, but I think we come out the bottom. Okay, I always forget what I need in here, but... Should have money, should get an ice brand. There's the ice brand. I think there's a flame shield up here too. I have to go through an encounter to get it. I am being silly. I forgot to use potions after I walked through all that lava. Not just... there it is, the flame shield. I believe that goes to the second fighter. Let's see. I think this is the important room. Yes, it is. So now everyone's favorite part of the run. We are doing lizard grinding. Specifically fire lizard grinding. Now I think the NES route with step routing normally grinds to about 15 here. I am going to be grinding to 16. Since I don't have step routing, I need to be a little more prepared for bad encounters. And I want to make sure I enter the final dungeon with a pretty good level. Specifically, I would like to be 20 by the time I enter the final dungeon, so I can have a level 6 spell charge. Given that, because of the resistance bug, magic is really powerful in the late game, it might not be the worst idea to actually kill off your fighters here, and really grind up the levels of your mages so they have a lot of extra spell slots to use the high-level spell charges in the final bosses. But that does mean that your fighters end up with relatively low HP and might not be as good at tanking in the final dungeon. Poison Breath is absolutely the terrifying part of that dungeon, yes. Or at least the first terrifying part of that dungeon. Might be completely my imagination, but it kind of feels like the Poison Breath attacks are more damaging to me than they would be when I've seen them in NES runs. Yeah, they definitely do routinely around 100 to me in this version. Yay, 16! Did not include the first fighter, so we're going to need to fight one more of them. Perfect. Finally, we can move on. Make it? Hooray! So against Marilith, I'm just going to be using the most powerful spells I have, I believe. Bother with haste or anything. In the intended data, Marilith is resistant to all elements, meaning that in this version she ends up being weak to all elements. As seen there. Meaning we should be able to use Fyra on her now and do comparable damage. There it is. And no problem. I will risk not healing. Yay! 4.5 hours in, we finally get the second crystal lit. I now want to go over to Melmond and buy my level 5 spells, now that I am capable of using them. So I would like Warp, Telepo, Thyraga, and Raise. Now go north and deal with the caravan. So this bug exists in the MSX version as well. Airship can land right there. Make sure we remember to release the ferry. want to go to the armor shop. According to my notes, we sell the silver gauntlet and shield on both fighters. And I feel like I've had this problem before, but I only have enough for 2 rings of protection at this point. Should have enough for at least 3, so I'm not sure why. Maybe I just bought spells too aggressively at Melmond in my notes. Oh, I'm also supposed to sell that steel gauntlet. You can still keep the gauntlet equipped. Some defense. Put 1 ring on you, 1 ring on you. I'll have to try to come back here once I get a little more money. Does this fairy only have 1 eye? Is it like a Cyclops fairy or something? I don't think I've really thought about this before, but this is actually a quite different color scheme than the Famicom palette. Let's see, do we have a bat out of bounds down here? We do, I don't see it. I believe the out of bounds bat definitely exists in this version. I believe I've seen it. It occurs to me that I don't think I've stayed at an inn since I did my grinding. So I don't think I'd have the level 5 spell slot to cast Warp at this point. I do not. Probably not going to use the Wizard Cane. The Defender goes to second fighter. And down the Ice Brand to one of the mages. I don't think it matters which one. So we are going to have to walk out of this cave. More free time saves for whomever attempts to replicate this run. You're welcome. Okay, we are in Onrak finally. So there's a very important NPC here, and we have to talk to her. She says, "Yay, my legs are amazing. It's amazing to have legs." That person is my soulmate, and I absolutely must use talking to them as a split. More importantly, I need to actually stay at an inn and get my level 4 and 5 spell charges finally. I need to do some shopping afterwards, which I'll probably regret not doing before I stay at the inn. But first of all, I am going to take a break real quick. I will be right back. Okay, there's some more free time save for someone who has more endurance in these runs than I have. So I have in my notes to restock on tents, cottages, and gold needles when I get to Onrak. I don't know if there's any particular reason why it's critical to do that before the Sea Shrine or not. Okay, I'm probably going to have to pull up a map here because I am really not comfortable with the route through the Sea Shrine yet, but I think I know how to do this part from memory. I believe I go around to the left and up. And that gets me to the diamond armor room. Yep, diamond armor. Goes to the first fighter. Now we warp out. Now we go more or less straight down. Okay, that's an interesting fight. These white sharks are some of the best opportunities for XP grinding at this stage of the games. So this floor is where the mermaids live. I don't need to be worried about encounters here. I give that diamond bracelet to? Diamond bracelet goes to the first red mage. Other room I care about is the one I get to up here by wrapping around the map. Helmet. Gauntlet. Rosetta Stone. I don't actually use that diamond gauntlet though, do I? Should also equip that ribbon on someone. Do I put that ribbon on? First red mage. Just said the helmet goes to Fighter 1. This is the Mithril helmet. Okay, since I don't have a Ring of Protection for the second fighter yet, put the Diamond Gauntlet on them. Oh, and I want to warp out at this point. This giant pile of money on the way out. For my sanity, I am going to choose to warp all the way out and save again at the end after taking care of that floor. Again, free time save for someone who wishes to take advantage of it. This is where I do need to start checking my maps. Unlike the Famicom version, the gauntlet doesn't tear through things in the Sea Shrine, because their weakness to lightning doesn't actually work. It still does pretty good damage, though. These are the easy floors. There's one room there that has some money and another ribbon, so I want that. Drop something. Ribbon is ultimately going to second red mage. Don't need this iron armor. Don't really need either of those mithril items either. There is a fixed encounter with white sharks in the middle of the treasure chest sub on the top right of that room. I had vaguely considered using that encounter tile for additional grinding. As I discussed earlier, though, I don't think grinding any higher than 20 for entering the final dungeon is all that useful relative to the time you have to spend on it. Speaking of shark encounters, it sure seems like I'm not getting very many of those on this walk. Hey, here we are. So, in my notes, I am using Thyraga on Kraken. I neglected to get the magic staff on the second floor. I'll have to go back and do that. But as I don't have that, I won't be using that against Kraken. Kraken is normally strong against fire, so on MSX, fire is what you want to use against it. think having the mages spam that is a better use of their turns than trying to buff the fighters. Go, we did it. Not going to hit my split yet, even though I will go to the inn and heal and save. Because I do need to go back into the dungeon and get that magic staff that I missed. Yes, dear, I know your legs are amazing, but I need to proceed with the run now. That's what I get for trying to do this segment from memory. So this is the magic staff room. We'll take this encounter, though. I need the experience. Oh, interesting. Are trolls actually immune to... Oh no, I'm using the wrong staff. I'm using the mage staff, not the sorcery staff. Who did I put it on? Now I'm confused. Okay, there it is. Majutsu no Tsue. That goes to you. To reflect that, I want to move the gauntlet. Okay, so I want to go straight south, more or less, to Melmond. Give the Rosetta Stone to Dr. Une and immediately learn Lefanish. Aren't modern language learning apps amazing? Probably didn't need to do that item shopping in OnRack because I can definitely just do it here. But I will be buying all the potions here. Now I want to come up to the magic shops. Buy Thundaga for each of the mages. Or Sangha. Principle, they should each get one charge of that. The final dungeon, should we enter at level 20, and hopefully they can make it count. And I would much rather run into Allosaurs at this point. Bullets, not so much. Still concerned that I'm a bit behind on levels, so I'm really hoping these overworld sections give me some good encounters. And we come all the way to this incredibly advanced town, and they don't even have an inn. The only thing they sell at all is world-ending apocalyptic magic. My red mages can't even use. So there is absolutely no reason to be here at all. But we got our chime, so we can move on. So that was a disappointing Lefane walk. I'm probably going to have to do some extra grinding at some point. Do want to stop in Gaia here, get those rings of protection I was unable to afford earlier. I need to check my inventory and find out who actually has room for them. Rearrange accordingly to make room for them. Okay, so we need it for Fighter 2, Mage 2, and we want to sell the Diamond Gauntlet on Mage 1. Got it. Okay, Rings of Protection acquired. There's also a Ruby bracelet on Mage 2 I should sell. Or I could just drop it, I guess. Drop it later. At this point, I have no further need for money, I believe. So, one last chance for Allosaur encounters in the desert here. But it is not to be. First thing is come around here and get the Aegis Shield. That goes to our first fighter. Now we're going all the way to the top. Before I forget about it, let me drop some of this unnecessary armor. Not need the flame shield, do not need the ruby bracelet. I'm going to try to fight these just to try to make up my missing experience. I do walk straight up. So this one, that's the Thor hammer. That's the dragon mail. It's an encounter. Okay. So that dragon mail goes to my first fighter, I believe. Diamond armor finally replaces the second fighter's iron armor, which we can just drop. Sunblade goes to you. Fender goes to you. Extra Ice Brand goes there. I don't think it matters dramatically who gets the Thor hammer. Oh dear. Are we gonna have to wait on Robot Friend? Ink Robot Friend? Thank you. So I don't think I do anything too special against the blue dragon here. Except I probably did want to put that Thor hammer on the other mage so I could hit it with lightning. Either way. Ow. And again, ow. That's a dead mage. I'd rather not lose out on that experience, but since I have Raise now, I will not reset for that. Let me see. Still on 17, aren't we? About 3,000 left until 18, which we should be able to get no problem here. I am going to elect not to get the Raise Saber here. Okay, that's a Diamond Shield. Have a spot for this thing? Yes, I do. So the Diamond Shield goes to Fighter 2, I think. Yes. Ribbon goes to Fighter 2, I believe, as well. So Fighter 2 no longer needs this Mithril helmet. I think I've just not been aggressive enough in taking fights in this run. there we go. That's the experience we need for 18. Not sure if I'm supposed to, but I think I have an extra slot for the white robe, too. So, let me get my spellcasting items set up properly now. I want the black robe on second mage, since they're not going to be healing very much, and that's the most powerful one. Why are you missing something, though? You don't have body armor. That was the white robe. I don't know if I misread or if I accidentally swapped them or something, but that's where they're supposed to be. One of the usable items in the top slots. It's our adamantite. Probably going to end up dropping the white robe anyway and going back to Gaia and buying a ruby gauntlet or something. Ruby bracelet. Because it is probably not a very good idea to have no body armor on one of my mages. Ow! Okay, apparently soldiers are dangerous. Especially against mages with no body armor. So far, I have not actually encountered the death machine in a test run on this floor. It's definitely here somewhere, lurking. Force Hammer's on Fighter 1, Magic Staff's on Fighter 2. That's good. Okay, I think we are safe. Tiamat should not be too dangerous, I don't think. According to my notes, I just use magic as best I can on it. Our Tiamat's weakness is supposed to be. It's supposed to be resistant to all the damage elements, therefore it is actually going to be weak to them. Probably just use the magic items with the fighters too. They're not doing a whole lot with their weapons. Now you can start using Blizzara. Ow. We are better off spamming as much damage as we can still, rather than trying to recover with healing. I could be wrong if Tiamat does that a few more times. Okay, we got it. I don't think there are encounters in this room, so I'm safe just walking out. Okay, we made it through that. We are still level 18, and I want to be level 20. So I am going to go up to Gaia, buy another ruby gauntlet for my first mage. To sell the white robe first. I would then just need to go to the Dwarf Cave. Pick up Excalibur. From Smith the Blacksmith. Excalibur goes to second fighter. So I think what I'm going to need to do do some extra grinding to get up to 20, probably in the first floor of the Temple of Fiends. We are going to refill our potions and stay at the inn in Conaria. Let's see if we can get some potion buying ASMR going here. Microphone might be picking that up, I'm not sure. Okay, I think that's all. Okay, let the grinding commence. Okay, that does not bode well for grinding here. That actually gets us most of the way to 19 on its own. Let's try to get one more encounter that doesn't kill us. How much experience do we now need for 20? 13k-ish. Probably 6 or 7 fights-ish. Of course, when I'm actually trying to do this dungeon, I will never get encounter rates this good. Well, it's the dragons again. We're probably going to lose some mages here. I actually need to warp out, don't I? I don't have any living mages to warp out. Maybe this is not a good place to grind. So the area around the Mirage Tower has allosaurs and possibly tyrannosaurs, if I'm very, very lucky. Also has a bunch of worthless encounters with bullets and stuff. The Mirage Tower itself may have some kind of good encounters in it. The Sky Castle has some pretty good encounters, but it's definitely a long walk up there. Again, bullets. That's all I'm getting for encounters out in the desert here. I guess it probably makes more sense to walk up the tower to get to the better encounters in the Sky Castle, rather than just walking in circles down here. If I'm going to be walking around in the Mirage Tower, it might as well be in the direction of the Sky Castle. The Blue Dragon is a pretty good source of experience, but it is also a pretty good source of damage. Probably less dangerous than trying to farm frost dragons. Blue Dragon aside, there are some pretty reasonable encounters on the top floor of the Mirage Tower there. Not sure how that compares to the first floor of the Sky Castle. Guess I could be nuts and grab the Raise Saber, as long as I'm here. Sadly, I don't think there are really any good fixed encounter tiles late in the game you can use for grinding. Blue Dragon is about the best one I'm aware of. About the only one I'm aware of, really. That's a pretty dangerous fight to do over and over. There's the one I mentioned earlier with the white sharks in the Undersea Palace. Getting to that is a pretty long walk. If I ever were to do this run again, though, I should probably make a point of ensuring that I am 18 or so leaving the Sea Shrine, probably using that white shark encounter tile. Okay, there's 20. That everyone? Not quite. Second mage still needs it, but we are close. There we go, level 20 for second mage. Let's get out of here. I also need to restock on potions, and then I will... may not need to save at the end here. I might just go drop a house outside the Temple of Chaos. This has been a very long day of streaming. Hopefully, that is the last time we'll need to save here, because we're going to get this run through the final dungeon first try, no issues. Right? Right? So this is the terrifying floor. Just there. Beautiful, don't even need healing yet. So I think against this thing we just hit it. Probably haste the fighters if we really wanted to. Yeah, the mages should probably use their spellcasting items. Okay, we are through the first problem here. We actually get no encounters. Almost. I should learn not to say anything until I get to the stairs. Well, the encounter rate was taking it easy. Now we drop another 30 potions. And we all engage in a moment of gratitude here for whatever Square employee invented the high potion. So down half my potions before I even get into the elemental floors. This is not a great start. On the other hand, no green dragons. Alright, let's see what happens. So I think against Lich, I just basically want to hit it and use the best spells I can. Which in this case I think will include using haste on the fighters. There's the flare. One mage is down. Okay, we got it. Okay, fortunately, Marilith is not terribly dangerous. I believe we want to spam our magic abilities on her. Just using the items. You should probably use the cane. Marilith is supposed to be strong against all damaging elements, so instead it is weak to them in the MSX version. Painful. Another one. Okay, Marilith is down. I am going to see if we can stall this battle long enough to spam the healing staff a bit. As I am really worried about my healing resources at this point. By the way, remember when I said much earlier that I was buying the blink spell for everyone? Including the fighters? Just in case I needed to use it later? I wasn't too sure if I was going to do so. Well, I just used all of the fighters' level 1 charges on healing, so I guess I won't be using it. So despite what I said about weaknesses, I have not been able to get magic damage to really work very well against Kraken. Was haste, right? Haste. So I am just going to be using the standard Famicom strategy of using haste on the fighters. Hitting it with as much physical damage as I can initially. Oh, there's a dead mage. Well, we got him, but... Oh, and there's our level 21. I am not enthusiastic about the odds of this attempt finishing. I will not be getting the Masamune, just because physical damage is not very good in this version. I was supposed to heal. I neglected to heal. Let's see what happens. Okay, against Tiamat, we are not using physical damage at all. We are just using our magic damage items. Clouda should be irrelevant. That was not the right item, that one. I'd rather not have Blizzara draining life from me, but I will take it. Not fight. Thundara damage. That's the damage I didn't want to see. Not think Tiamat had this much HP. There it goes. So, I guess we heal as much as we can with our remaining heal potions and go. Should probably have just reset after all that damage I took from the Frost Dragons. So, on this version, there are encounters on this floor. I don't see them very often, but I have seen them. Hopefully I will not see them this time, but we shall see. Okay. see what happens. So, against Chaos, we just use magic damage as much as we can. Primarily, we are going to be unleashing these Thundaga spells that we bought. Hope we get really good rolls on those to start out with. Good rolls from the fighters' things help a lot. Okay, that was an excellent start. Now we have to start using Firaga. That was Blizzaga, that hurt, and that advances his magic script a little bit. That one. Firaga. You have Firaga left? Yes, you do. Great rolls from those. Is probably going to kill most of us. I don't think we have the health to survive long enough here. That was 3 spells. He is probably going to use his Kuraga next anyway. Who has the raised saber? Either of my living characters? Let's try it. Nope. That was the Kuraga. Okay, no more chance for raised sabers. So I think we lose. Yep. I suppose we try that again. Less ice damage this time. Okay, Death Beholder, I'm not too worried about. Does have a pretty good physical attack. Whatever. And now we hope for lots and lots of purple worms. Okay, I am in awe. That is the RNG on MSX working in my favor for once. Did get him with no further disasters. Nearly half our potions left after Lich. We are in a much better position than we were on that last attempt. Excellent damage rolls. Fortunately, no matter how well the temple overall goes, it is entirely possible at any time for Chaos to completely destroy you with bad RNG. I wonder if maybe I should see what Chaos's first couple of actions are so I can get a guess of how many rounds I have before the Kuraga happens. Based on that, then decide if I want to burn my high damage spells early or save them until after the Kuraga. Okay, this time I will try using my blink spells. See if that helps at all. don't know, maybe that helped. Of course, but I think I'm safe. He kills a random mage on his last action. Not too happy about that poison gas. Okay, we should at least be able to go into it with full hit points this time, I think. Let's see what the RNG does. Said, I am going to save my spell charges until I see a couple rounds and see what Chaos is actually doing. So that's pretty good damage so far. Have absolutely... Oh no, we still have one cure we can drop on him. Have any cures left? Do. Go ahead and do that. Why not? That was Earthquake. We survived it. So in this case, we're doing pretty good damage. He hasn't used a spell yet, so I think we are okay moving on to our high-level spells. Blizzaga, so that's one spell. And we roll kind of low for our Thundaga. That's Chaos's Thundaga, so that's two spells. Pretty good chance that whatever he does next turn is going to kill a couple of us, so... Okay, he attacks the fighter with high hit points, so that's one of the better things he could have done. You can use your Blizzara. We're out as well, right? Have nothing better to do now than use your Black Robe. And now we just hope for RNG. Get him? I think that's the run. The official end time is when that defeated text appears, so I was a little late on that, but it worked. Sorry, that was just Scam Likely calling to congratulate me. Thank you for the GGs that I can't quite make out there. Thank you for staying around and watching through that kind of painful couple of resets, but I am very happy. I was concerned about that. Eight hours is basically the time I had allotted for this. Planned for. I would have been pretty annoyed if I'd had to go longer than that, so I'm glad I didn't have to try another run. But to recap, just in case anyone is tuning in who didn't see my discussion on this earlier, the MSX version of the game has a major bug that I believe is unique to this version, where elemental resistances or elemental weaknesses on enemies are ignored. Elemental resistances are treated as weaknesses. That means the late-game bosses, especially Chaos, are supposed to be resistant to just about everything, but instead they are weak to just about everything. That means that spamming magic damage is far more effective in the MSX version than it is in the Famicom version or any other version. Hence the strategy you saw there, where I basically spammed the spellcasting items and as many spell slots as I had. An alternative strategy would be to buy Clouda for the two mages, and then spam Clouda plus the Bane Sword or Raise Saber, and hope that you can get instant death from poison on Chaos, which Chaos is also weak to. That strategy is just as dependent on RNG, I think. Even with the weakness, with Chaos's high magic defense, it's still pretty unlikely you actually get the instant death through that way. It's basically equivalent to the chances of getting it to work on Tiamat in the Famicom version, because Tiamat is actually weak to poison naturally. It also means that you have to commit to that strategy by using one of your level 5 spell slots for Clouda, I think. And there are a lot of other important spells that you want to have for levels 5. So you pretty much have to choose one strategy or the other halfway through the run. Doing it that way and relying on instant death RNG does mean you don't really care when Chaos uses Curaga. If you are using magic damage, if you aren't able to get a late Curaga and get all your magic damage in before that happens, you are pretty much stuck. So I really don't know which is the more effective strategy there. I am probably not going to do too many more experiments to try to figure it out. I think one run of this is more than enough for me. I will be very interested to see if anyone else tries to run the game. Ever. I think even a really well-routed and really good RNG run of this would still take probably about 6 hours, which is a lot to commit to this game. And while it is an interesting run for reasons of that major bug that radically changes one's strategy, I don't think it is interesting enough that many people are going to want to commit 6 to 8 hours to the attempt. Yeah, absolutely. FF1 randomizer is definitely something I would like to try one of these days, but there are a lot of other things I would like to try one of these days too, so when and if it shows up on my priority list is hard to predict. Another notable difference here is that the MSX version does actually have the credits in the ending instead of on the initial bridge sequence, for whatever reason. There's the person who did the MSX specific graphics, by the way, Tadahiko Watanabe. Probably not a Squaresoft employee. There's the composer for the MSX version. I believe the MSX version was done by a third-party company. Blanking on the name, but it's going to be in these credits here somewhere. Yeah, I forget. So whatever differences there are here, Squaresoft probably wasn't directly responsible for. Microcabin is the name of the developer who did this version, I think, so I don't know how much involvement directly anyone from Square had. And unlike the NES version, we just get our The End graphic very quickly there. We don't need to wait for it all to draw out. Anyway, I have been streaming for 8 hours. That is kind of horrible and far more than I have ever done and may never do again, we shall see. Those of you who have been out there watching, this appears to have actually been one of my most viewed streams ever, so that is very nice to see. So maybe there is benefit in doing these long streams, I don't know. Anyway, I'm probably going to try to get this... I will probably start a discussion on speedrun.com, make sure that there's nothing funny I should do about load times on this version in anyone's opinion. I am also probably going to try to edit this down and post a highlights version on YouTube, since I doubt very many people are going to want to watch an 8-hour video just for the few interesting moments in this run. So hopefully this will show up on speedrun.com sometime in the next couple of weeks whenever I get around to doing all of that. So, thank you all for watching, and have a beautiful evening.